If there is no struggle, there is no progress. Once you learn to read, you will be forever free. It is easier to build strong children than to repair broken men. The soul that is within me no man can degrade. Knowledge makes a man unfit to be a slave. Power concedes nothing without a demand. It never did and it never will. I would unite with anybody to do right and with nobody to do wrong. To suppress free speech is a double wrong. It violates the rights of the hearer as well as those of the speaker. Some know the value of education by having it. I know its value by not having it. Find out just what any people will quietly submit to, and you have the exact measure of the injustice and wrong which will be imposed on them. Those who profess to favor freedom and yet deprecate agitation are men who want crops without plowing up the ground. It is not light that we need, but fire. It is not the gentle shower, but thunder. We need the storm, the whirlwind, and the earthquake. We have to do with the past only as we can make it useful to the present and the future. I prayed for freedom for 20 years, but received no answer until I prayed with my legs. The white man's happiness cannot be purchased by the black man's misery. I didn't know I was a slave until I found out I couldn't do the things I wanted. No man can put a chain about the ankle of his fellow man without at last finding the other end fastened about his own neck. Fugitive slaves were rare then, and as a fugitive slave lecturer, I had the advantage of being the first one out. What to the slave is the 4th of July? There is not a man beneath the canopy of heaven who does not know that slavery is wrong for him. Slaves are generally expected to sing as well as to work. Slaves sing most when they are most unhappy. The songs of the slave represent the sorrows of his heart, and he is relieved by them, only as an aching heart is relieved by its tears. A man who will enslave his own blood may not be safely relied on for magnanimity. What I ask for the Negro is not benevolence, not pity, not sympathy, but simply justice. I should esteem it a privilege to set you an example as to how mankind ought to treat each other. I am your fellow man, but not your slave. The thing worse than rebellion is the thing that causes rebellion. A smile or a tear has not nationality. Joy and sorrow speak alike to all nations, and they, above all the confusion of tongues, proclaim the brotherhood of man. The life of the nation is secure only while the nation is honest, truthful, and virtuous. The destiny of the colored American is the destiny of America. We succeed not alone by the laborious exertions of our faculties, be they small or great, but by the regular, thoughtful, and systematic exercise of them. Freedom is a road seldom traveled by the multitude. A great man, tender of heart, strong of nerve, boundless patience, and broadest sympathy, with no motive apart from his country. Our destiny is largely in our hands. The limits of tyrants are prescribed by the endurance of those whom they oppress. A battle lost or won is easily described, understood, and appreciated, but the moral growth of a great nation requires reflection, as well as observation, to appreciate it. A man's character always takes its hue, more or less, from the form and color of things about him. People might not get all they work for in this world, but they must certainly work for all they get. Man's greatness consists in his ability to do and the proper application of his powers to things needed to be done. Right is of no sex, truth is of no color, God is the Father of us all, and we are all brethren. A man is worked on by what he works on. I love the pure, peaceable, and impartial Christianity of Christ. I therefore hate the corrupt, slave-holding, women-whipping, cradle-plundering, partial, and hypocritical Christianity of this land. I prefer to be true to myself, even at the hazard of incurring the ridicule of others, rather than to be false, and to incur my own abhorrence. A little learning indeed may be a dangerous thing, but the want of learning is a calamity to any people. A gentleman will not insult me, and no man, not a gentleman, can insult me. My hopes were never brighter than now. The relation between the white and colored people of this country is the great, paramount, imperative, and all-commanding question for this age and nation to solve. I will give Mr. Freeland the credit of being the best master I ever had, till I became my own master. Experience is a keen teacher. To enslave men, successfully and safely, it is necessary to have their minds occupied with thoughts and aspirations short of the liberty of which they are deprived. A certain degree of attainable good must be kept before them. He treated me as a man. He did not let me feel for a moment that there was any difference in the color of our skins. They suppress the truth rather than take the consequence of telling it, and in so doing prove themselves a part of the human family. Men talk of the Negro problem. There is no Negro problem. The problem is whether the American people have honesty enough, loyalty enough, honor enough, patriotism enough to live up to their Constitution. For my part, I should prefer death to hopeless bondage. One and God make a majority. Without any appeal to books, to laws, or to authorities of any kind, it was enough to accept God as a father, to regard slavery as a crime. I had a wholesome dread of the consequences of running in debt. For no man who lives at all lives unto himself. He either helps or hinders all who are in any wise connected to him. Liberty is meaningless where the right to utter one's thoughts and opinions has ceased to exist. That of all rights is the dread of tyrants. It is the right which they, first of all, strike down. We may explain success mainly by one word, and that word is work. Work! 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 I know of no rights of race superior to the rights of humanity. You have to take power, no one gives it. I will unite with anyone to do good, but with no one to do harm. Every one of us should be ashamed to be free while his brother is a slave. He was whipped oftener who was whipped easiest. A man at times gets something for nothing, but it will in his hands amount to nothing. No people to whom liberty is given can hold it as firmly and wear it as grandly as those who wrench their liberty from the iron hand of the tyrant. The silver trump of freedom roused in my soul eternal wakefulness. Education means emancipation. It means light and liberty. It means the uplifting of the soul of man into the glorious light of truth, the light by which men can only be made free. As a people, Americans are remarkably familiar with all facts which make in their own favor. No man whose vision is bounded by color can come into contact with what is highest and best in the world. Stars shall fall from heaven. I have found that to make a contented slave, it is necessary to make a thoughtless one. It is no disparagement to truth that it can only prevail where reason prevails. War begins where reason ends. The thing worse than rebellion is the thing that causes rebellion. Your faculties remained yours, and mine became useful to their rightful owner. Truth shines with brighter light and intenser heat at every moment, and a country torn and rent and bleeding implores relief from its distress and agony. Power concedes nothing without demand. It never has and never will. Show me the exact amount of wrong and injustices that are visited upon a person, and I will show you the exact amount of words endured by these people. Let us render the tyrant no aid. Let us not hold the light by which he can trace the footprints of our flying brother. From apparently the basest metals we have the finest toned bells. You are not judged by the height you have risen, but from the depth you've climbed. A man's rights rest in 3 boxes: the ballot box, the jury box, and the cartridge box. Neither we nor any other people will ever be respected till we respect ourselves, and we will never respect ourselves till we have the means to live respectfully. Is it possible for the human mind to conceive of a more horrible state of society? The man who will get up will be helped up, and the man who will not get up will be allowed to stay down. Welcome, welcome joy, welcome sorrow, welcome pleasure, welcome pain. You are all the ingredients of life, and with you all, life is an inestimable blessing. Another advantage I gained in my new master was he made no pretensions to or profession of religion, and this, in my opinion, was truly a great advantage. Reason is imprisoned here, and passions run wild. Like the fires of the prairie, once lighted, they are at the mercy of every wind, and must burn till they have consumed all that is combustible within their remorseless grasp. Alas, I had not then learned the measure of man's inhumanity to man, nor to what limitless extent of wickedness he will go for the love of gain. To be accused was to be convicted, and to be convicted was to be punished, the one always following the other with immutable certainty. We need the storm, the whirlwind, and the earthquake. The hypocrisy of the nation must be exposed, and its crimes denounced. A man without force is without the essential dignity of humanity. Human nature is so constituted that it cannot honor a helpless man, although it can pity him. The reading of these speeches added much to my limited stock of language, and enabled me to give tongue to many interesting thoughts, which had frequently flashed through my soul and died away for want of utterance. The mere recurrence to those songs even now afflicts me, and while I am writing these lines, an expression of feeling has already found its way down my cheek.